Welcome to 4C Radio. We are broadcasting from the central campus of Christ University, Bengaluru. 4C Radio is brought to you by the Department of Media Studies, Christ University. For all those who are looking for a platform that focuses on communities, commons, climate, and communication, this is the place to be. What's more, this station is run by a diverse community of students and dedicated faculty members. Tune in to experience hard hitting interviews, fact checks and myth busting, on ground stories, campus news, and more. In today's episode of Campus Calling, we are exploring one of Bengaluru's most vibrant cultural carnivals, BLR Hubba 2026, which happened from 16th to 25th January. Hubba in Kannada means festival, a celebration, and Bengaluru Hubba was truly a celebration of music, dance, theatre, food, crafts, poetry, storytelling, and more. Bengaluru Hubba was born from a simple idea to celebrate Bengaluru's creative pulse through its people, streets, and stories. Now, in its third edition, Bengaluru Hubba has grown into one of the city's most anticipated cultural festivals. This year, Hubba had over 1.5 lakh visitors going to over 30 plus venues to attend more than 350 events. It is impossible to capture everything that had happened, but our student reporter Nishtha Chakrabarti brings you glimpses from the Hubba.
That was the kind of patronage that the kings gave. In fact, the title of the Bay a Mausiki to Fayaz Khan Sahib was given in.
If you've been wondering why there seems to be something electric in the Bengaluru air for these past few days, I'm here to tell you that it is all thanks to the Bengaluru Hubba 2026. It's clear that this wasn't just another edition of the festival. It marked a growth, not in scale or in noise, but in how deeply it felt connected to the city it celebrates. If you haven't come across the Hubba before, it is a 10-day long celebration of art, music, food, theatre, heritage, and community that takes over the entire city of Bengaluru. It began in 2024 with the idea of bringing people together through culture, taking performances and installations to parks, galleries, streets, you name it. By its third edition this year, it had grown into more than 350 events across 20 plus venues, from Freedom Park to NGMA to unexpected public spaces that suddenly felt alive and exciting. And that's the thing about Bengaluru Hubba. It doesn't just put culture on display, it invites you into it. The 2026 Hubba was an amalgamation of various events, or sub-festivals as they call it. It ranged from Makala Hubba, a hands-on creative learning space for children, to Kanta Hubba, with its various displays of visual art, to Tindi Hubba, filled with food as a form of memory and culture, to many, many more. One of the highlights of Hubba was the Drawing Bengaluru series with Pencil Jam, a community that has been meeting every Sunday for over 16 years to sketch the city's changing face. Pencil Jam turned their long-time practice into an extraordinary exhibit and live drawing events. People sitting in Freedom Park with pencils in hand, sketching the old jail watchtower, the trees, the festival crowds, really looking at the city around them instead of just rushing past it. The sketches become a part of an exhibit at NGMA, a visual journal of Bengaluru unfolding across the festival. Today, we have with us Mr. J.L. Anil Kumar to tell us a little bit about the Pencil Jam and the magic they brought with them to the event.
What makes it important for me was that we attract a lot of artists to view our art. That itself, personally, it feels good. And it also feels good to perhaps enthuse general public who at some time or the other would have been drawing, but I would have given up because of their work or whatever. So many of them are joining back, and then they have started drawing with us, which is very satisfying. The moment that stayed with me were actually many. One of them was making the presentation of my sketchbook in the sketchbook journaling 101 event which was also held at the Freedom Park. And then to see so many people engage with art in different forms was a great pleasure.
And then there was Tasting Personalities, a food workshop that went far beyond ordinary cuisine. Led by designer chef Kabyashri Borgohain, this event encouraged participants to build and mix their own dishes, using food as a way to explore identity and expression. It was partly an experiment and partly self reflection, but something completely unlike any cooking class that you would have been used to. A standout performance of the event was the Manganiyar Seduction, a live performance directed by Royston Abel with musicians from the Manganiyar community of Rajasthan, a way of immersive storytelling through sound, telling tales of love, devotion, longing, the kind of show that makes you forget where you are. In the midst of these performances, there was another event that brought a completely different feel to the Hubba. The Makala Hubba turned Freedom Park into a space where children weren't just entertained, but genuinely engaged through drawing, building, exploring, asking questions. Through games, workshops, and interactive installations, kids were encouraged to learn through play. Now, we have Arav, a 10-year-old who had a lot to say about his own experience at the event.
We went to Bangalore Hubba. It was very nice. I like the food over there, and we went for an exhibition. In the exhibition, there were stuff like glow in the dark, all about the sea creatures, and then after that, there was band performing. That place was a very old place, and there was a jail. So there was a TV, and you couldn't, it was fully blurred if you see it from straight. But then if you look through a glass or mirror, you could see what it was in the TV. I don't know what it was, but it was cool.
What sets Bengaluru Hubba apart from most festivals year after year is that it isn't just about watching art. You become a part of it. You hear it, sketch it, build it, taste it, walk through it, feel it. As the event now comes to a close, it reminds us what it means to be a part of this city, beyond the corporate buildings and the startup culture. Throughout these 10 extraordinary days, Bengaluru Hubba celebrated this city, its people, their stories, and all the ways in which culture lives on in everyday moments.
In this episode of Campus Calling, we have with us Mr. Bhushan Kurgaonkar, a multilingual writer, theatre director, and translator. His troupe had performed the Lavani at Bengaluru Hubba, bringing a powerful folk tradition to a contemporary urban audience. We have with us our student reporter Shovanghi Biswas in conversation with Mr. Bhushan.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Sir, so how did you come across to wanting to work with Lavani dancers, and what fascinated you towards the art form?
I was really not interested in the art form to start with. I used to feel that it's a very cheap and vulgar form. But when I happened to watch a live performance by a traditional artist, the whole perspective changed. And I saw a very interesting mix of poise as well as connect in their performance, and they were also singing and dancing simultaneously. So these are some of the aspects which I loved, and I thought that I must, as an artist, I must do something with them, and that's how the whole journey started.
So that is how you decided to research on Lavani dance as a specific art form?
Because I found that beauty and that connect in that art form. And also, I realized that the Bollywoodish or the very mainstream social media representation of the form is just very unilateral. It's that fast-paced acrobatic style which becomes popular, which is great. But at the same time, the form has so many other nuances, and the traditional artists have a large repertoire which never gets noticed. So neither the artists themselves nor their art, both the things get neglected in the glamour world. And that's why I thought that I must work with these artists.
So you talked about the fact that Lavani dances come from a matriarchal, matrilineal form of
Yes.
society.
Yeah.
So how does this hierarchy work within the community?
So not all, but some of the artists who come from the Sangeet Bari space, they are from matriarchal communities. Not every Lavani artist is from the community. So these artists follow matriarchy at their home. So their children take the mother's name, mother's surname, mother's caste. And that's how the lineage gets transferred from the generation to generation.
You also talked about how these dancers stay in their quarters for over a year. So what is their life like? What have you seen of their life outside of their workplace?
Outside, so their workplace is their residence for a year, and that contract gets renewed every year, or they are free to change their groups and theaters and go elsewhere. But during this tenure, also they are free to go home or go somewhere else as part of their monthly leaves.
So even when they're outside the workplace, I assume there is a huge question of what kind of respect they find in the society. So how do you think these dancers treat that question of like respect and morality?
Yes, very interesting question. They are always in the dilemma because as dancers, as artists, they have a name and fame in the niche circle of Lavani admirers. But outside of that, they really don't have any place in society. And in fact, when people come to know of their origin, they often face some kind of stigma. And so they have to navigate between these two realities.
Also, adding to that, there is this question of whether these women truly hold any kind of agency, right? So you spoke about how many of these dancers are from the Dalit communities or nomadic tribes, which already are marginalized in the society, already are exploited in the society. So how do you see instances of that permeating within the Lavani dancers community?
So there are two aspects. Dalit communities dancers are from Dholki Fadacha Tamasha, and my work presently revolves around Sangeet Bari, which is nomadic tribes who follow matriarchy. In their community structures, clearly a woman is a breadwinner. She is the karta of the family, and definitely with power, with money comes power, and that's why they are the decision makers of their household. So in their community, they have a stronghold. But outside of that, since everyone follows patriarchy, and since their whole business model is based on patriarchy, where men are coming to watch them, so they succumb to the pressures of the society. And outside, that's why they don't have a voice.
It's a very fine line between where
Empowerment and exploitation, yes.
So was there any kind of issue concerning access to these kinds of stories or spaces that you found during your research?
Yes, so initially to crack that first icebreaker was not, I wouldn't say it was tough, but it took time because there were so many people who, on the pretext of research or some study or something, they had approached them multiple times, and they often had faced that the people who come there and do something, they derive whatever they want, and then they don't give any importance or any credit or any remuneration to the artist. So that's why there was that reluctance, but somehow they found that trust in me, and I continue working with them. So yes, that's
you continue building that trust continuously.
Yes. Now it's like one unit. So I have become an insider.
You also worked with them in BLR Hubba, so could please talk about
Yes, so BLR Hubba was a different experience, and BLR Hubba we performed a show titled Rang Birangi Lavani, which is actually a offshoot from our Lavani work, because here we are giving a modern touch to Lavani, where we are exploring queer angles and queer stories through Lavani. And there are scenes and songs, that's the format, where we narrate a gay story, a lesbian story, a trans woman's love story, a man seducing his girlfriend, and all these aspects we have explored. And that's the queer theme Lavani show which we performed in Bangalore.
I would assume because even the queer community is marginalized, and this dance form, you spoke about how many dancers talk about how this is a dying art form.
Yes.
So
yes.
what do you think? How do you think the audience should perceive Lavani in this day and age, and how do you think that they should communicate with the dancers in this day and age?
Lavani speaks about desire, and Lavani speaks about pleasure. Lavani dancers display those highly sensuous and erotic mannerisms and movements, and which gives us a different sensory experience as an audience, as a consumer of that art. And I feel this is very crucial in today's time of hatred and divide and fights and communalism and all the things associated with that. So nobody talks about pleasure in a pleasurable way.
Right.
So Lavani is a very strong tool, I would say. And these artists, because they have been doing this for so many generations, they have imbibed it in such an aesthetic and beautiful way that watching that gives us a different type of pleasure and experience. So that's why Lavani is so relevant and crucial in today's times.
This really was an insightful conversation about the culture of Lavani and the lives of the Lavani artist. At the heart of Bengaluru Hubba 2026 were the volunteers who helped bring the festival to life. We spoke to a few students from Christ University who had volunteered for Bengaluru Hubba about their experiences and key takeaways from the festival.
So if I were to talk about my Bangalore Hubba experience, it would be, in one word, I would say a very big cultural festival that is spread across the city of Bengaluru. And I mean, at first it was just a vague idea for me. I had no idea what Bangalore Hubba is. But then, as we got to know the team and everything, we got to know how this is happening. Being a part of the media, we actually had to have an overview of the whole event that is happening. Otherwise, you won't be able to capture the moments that you are supposed to capture. Because all of these art forms, cultural forms, performances that happened at Bangalore Hubba was a reflection of the culture in Karnataka. And after seeing all of those performances and art, I felt like Bangalore is very loud about their culture. I mean, so loud that you just cannot avoid or ignore it. This whole art festival was spread across the city, right from Malleshwaram to the south of Bangalore, and it was even at the Taj West End, that's on the north of Bangalore, and it was spread across on the streets. Called the streets event was called Rasta Hubba, which means the people in the neighborhoods would just come along and put up stalls about their art pieces, cultural pieces, clothing, and all this stuff. And my key takeaway from this Bangalore Hubba is that if you have your culture, if you have your art, you should not be shy about that. You can just be loud about that, like the Bangaloreans. I mean, after Bangalore Hubba, I am seeing Bangaloreans in a new light. I used to think Bangaloreans are kind of introverted. They don't really interact with you much. But when it comes to their art, culture, their performances, dance, all their artifacts, they are just so loud about that, and I am so mesmerized with that. I can say it's I just cannot even imagine the level of art I was exposed to for that past 15 days. The event was for 10 days, but we were continuously working for the post-production as well. So it was a very good experience for me.
My experience of volunteering at the Bangalore Hubba was incredibly enriching. I was part of the organizing team for a sub-festival which is called Speak Floor along with a friend, and being involved at that level gave me a deeper view of how large scale cultural events actually function, you know. The scale of the Hubba was massive and events are curated very thoughtfully across different locations in the city. The most interesting thing was their motto was wherever you are, you should feel the fear of missing out and feel drawn into being part of something bigger. And like as behind the scenes, the experience was a bit physically and mentally draining, but it was very enjoyable as well. My key takeaway from the Hubba was the realization of how powerful and how limiting language can be. Many artists came from different parts of the country and could only communicate in the language they were comfortable with. They couldn't even speak English. This created a significant barrier since the organizers or funding bodies, they often don't make the effort to reach out to artists in their own language. It made me realize how important English can become an invisible gatekeeper in cultural spaces, and how crucial linguistic sensitivity is truly for art and collaboration.
I signed up to volunteer for Bangalore Hubba because being a media student, I was always looking for opportunities to work as I love photography and videography and also production house work and storytelling. Bangalore Hubba felt like the perfect place to capture the culture, energy and the people of the city. Being a part of the media team also gave me a chance to learn by doing, not just watching from the side. What I learned from Bangalore Hubba is being a part of the Bangalore Hubba taught me how teamwork really works during a big event. I learned how to cover live events under time pressure, coordinate with the different team and be more confident while shooting photos and videos. It also helped me improve my communication and observation skill, enhance my creativity skill, and as I want to join production house in future, here I have learned how a production work looks like. It was hectic, but it was a great experience. I have enjoyed a lot. I was not only working, but I have enjoyed the event as well as, and I got to know about multiple culture that I was not aware before. One unforgettable moment for me was capturing the whole crowd reaction during the performance. Seeing people from different backgrounds enjoying the festival together regardless of language barrier and knowing that I was documenting those memories made the experience really special. And also 10 days, 350 plus events. To be honest, I never experienced this much big event ever in my life. And also it was feeling like every culture in India were there in a single space. All total, it was an amazing experience. Listening to these voices, it becomes clear that Bengaluru Hubba was more than just a festival they volunteered for. It was an experience that stayed with them long after the events ended. And as Bengaluru Hubba comes to celebrate the city's vibrant cultural identity, it is these young voices working quietly behind the scenes who carry its spirit and legacy forward. That brings us to the end of this episode of Campus Calling. Thank you for listening to this podcast. As always, stay curious and tune in for more. This episode was hosted by Diya Dhananjayan, edited by Guru Aditya, and illustrated by Vernika Singh. Please write to us and follow us on X and Instagram.